The order exists before it is read. It has already been typed, stamped, duplicated. It has already been logged into a system designed to prevent error. Its language is precise. Its margins are correct. Its formatting follows precedent. Every line aligns with something that came before it. Nothing about it appears unusual. Nothing about it invites delay. The order moves. It passes through rooms where no one raises their voice. It is handled by hands trained to recognize authority by weight and paper quality, by phrasing and structure. It is checked against procedures written years earlier for circumstances like this, or close enough. Boxes are marked. Times are recorded. A signature confirms receipt, not agreement. Agreement is not required. The order continues downward. Each transfer reduces it. Context is stripped away, not by intention but by design. What remains is instruction, actionable, clear, executable. It does not ask why. It does not offer alternatives. It defines what must be done and when. It assumes the rest will align. The system accepts it. There is no moment of pause large enough to become memory. No one gathers to discuss it. No one calls attention to it. It is processed alongside dozens of others, indistinguishable in form, separated only by reference numbers and dates. Efficiency is maintained. The flow is uninterrupted. The order advances because that is what orders do. It passes through layers built to ensure reliability. Each layer confirms that the previous one has already done its work. Verification replaces scrutiny. Familiarity replaces doubt. The language is familiar. The structure is trusted. The authority is implied, not spoken. Nothing about the order feels urgent. That is its strength. It is not shouted. It is not rushed. It does not arrive with alarms or raised hands. It arrives the way all legitimate things arrive, calmly, officially, without drama. It gives the impression of inevitability without ever stating it. Time moves around it. Clocks advance. Shifts change. The order remains unchanged. It waits where it is placed, confident that it will be acted upon. It does not need to insist. The system has been trained to respond automatically. When it is finally read aloud, the words sound ordinary. They have been heard before, in different combinations. Nothing in them suggests danger. Nothing in them signals error. They do not tremble. They do not hesitate. They are delivered evenly, as intended. The order does not know what it will cause. It does not need to. Responsibility has already been distributed so thinly that no single point bears weight. Each step assumes correctness, because the previous step confirmed it. The logic is circular, and it is complete. Movement begins. Preparations align themselves around the instruction. Schedules adjust. Resources are allocated. Paths are cleared. Each adjustment reinforces the assumption that the order is sound, because it is being obeyed. No one interrupts. There is no rule that allows interruption at this stage. There is only compliance. The system is functioning exactly as designed, filtering out uncertainty, smoothing resistance, converting decision into action. The order proceeds forward, untouched by consequence, carrying with it the quiet certainty that nothing now can stop what has already begun. The environment that receives the order is built to accommodate it. It is a place of regulated movement and measured response, where time is divided into segments and responsibility is distributed vertically. Authority is not negotiated here. It is inherited through position. Each layer exists to translate intent into action without distortion, and each layer trusts the one above it to have resolved uncertainty before transmission. The order enters this structure without resistance. It is introduced at the top of a sequence that has been rehearsed countless times. The process is familiar. The words are absorbed not as information, but as instruction. Their origin is assumed legitimate by virtue of arrival. No one asks how the decision was reached. That phase has already passed somewhere else, at a level no longer visible. The structure responds. The order is broken into components, not for evaluation, but for distribution. Each component is assigned to a function, each function to a role. The transformation is mechanical. Language becomes task, task becomes schedule, schedule becomes movement. The hierarchy ensures clarity. No one receives more than they are meant to carry. No one sees the entire shape of the operation. Each participant is positioned inside a narrow frame of relevance. where understanding is limited by design. This is not considered a flaw. It is considered control. Communication follows established channels. Messages are relayed using standardized phrasing. Variations are discouraged. Deviations are corrected. The order's language is preserved as it moves, not because it must be, but because altering it would require authorization that no one seeks. Precision is defined as fidelity, not accuracy. The system values consistency. Every acknowledgement is logged. Every confirmation is recorded. The process leaves a trail that suggests thoroughness. At no point is the order challenged, because challenge is not part of the workflow. There is no designated space for it. The structure assumes that questioning has already occurred at a level above. The chain tightens as it descends. Each layer receives the order later than the one before it, but with greater specificity. What was once abstract becomes concrete. What was once strategic becomes operational. This transformation is seamless and therefore invisible. Discipline governs the exchange. Responses are brief. Language is stripped of emotion. The emphasis is on execution, not interpretation. Silence is common, but not concerning. Silence here means understanding. The environment reinforces compliance. Training has taught those within it to recognize certainty by tone and format. An order that arrives cleanly is trusted. An order that fits precedent is accepted. Experience has taught them that deviation introduces risk, while adherence ensures survival of the system, if not of those within it. No individual holds authority over the order. Authority resides in the structure itself. The order is not carried by a person. It is carried by position. If one individual were removed, another would fill the space, and the order would continue uninterrupted. This interchangeability is intentional. The system appears efficient. There are no visible delays, no bottlenecks, no confusion. Everything moves according to expectation. Each participant performs their role with practiced precision, confident that the system will absorb any inconsistency. The order advances through this environment untouched. Its passage leaves no disturbance. It does not disrupt routine. It becomes part of it. The machinery of command adjusts around it effortlessly, as it has done for countless orders before. What the structure cannot see, it does not attempt to. Its purpose is not to evaluate outcomes, but to ensure transmission. It is designed to move decisions forward, not to reflect on them. Reflection introduces friction. Friction slows movement. Movement is the priority. By the time the order reaches the lowest levels of execution, it has been refined into certainty. There is no room left for interpretation. The language is final. The timing is fixed. The roles are assigned. The structure has completed its task. Nothing within it signals danger. The system stands intact, confident in its own reliability, unaware that the order it has carried so faithfully has already passed the last point where it could have been stopped. Execution begins on schedule, not because of urgency, but because the time has arrived. The moment is defined by the order, not by conditions on the ground. Watches are synchronized. Movements align. Each action corresponds to a prior instruction received, acknowledged, and memorized. There is no announcement. The transition from preparation to execution is subtle. A change in posture, a shift in attention. Tasks commence without signal beyond routine confirmation. Those involved do not look outward for validation. They look inward, to procedure. The order dictates sequence. One action follows another with mechanical regularity. Each step triggers the next. This is not improvisation. It is adherence. The choreography has been practiced in fragments, rehearsed in isolation, and now assembled in real time. The assembly feels familiar. Communication is minimal. Information flows only where required. Updates are exchanged in prescribed language, stripped of interpretation. Acknowledgements are brief. Deviations are not reported because none are permitted. The system rewards silence when silence indicates compliance. The environment responds as expected. Paths are cleared. Positions are taken. Resources are deployed exactly as allocated. Nothing exceeds its assigned boundary. Nothing lingers beyond its window. The operation unfolds according to design, not observation. There is no pause for assessment. Conditions encountered during execution are not compared against intent. They are compared against instruction. If they align sufficiently, movement continues. If they do not, the order still stands. Adjustment is not authorized. Each participant focuses on their segment. Their responsibility ends where another begins. This segmentation prevents overlap, and with it prevents reconsideration. No one is tasked with seeing beyond their immediate function. That responsibility exists only in theory, somewhere higher, already past. The order is carried out in full, not partially, not cautiously, fully. Its completeness is its strength. Every element is activated, every timing is respected. The system does not hedge, it commits. Signals confirm progress. These confirmations do not describe reality, they describe compliance. They report that instructions have been followed, not that conditions are favorable. The distinction is understood, but irrelevant. The rhythm of execution is steady. There are no sudden accelerations, no abrupt stops. The pace is determined by schedule, not by circumstance. The system moves forward because it was told to move forward, and because stopping would require justification that no one is authorized to provide. Silence persists, not the silence of uncertainty, but the silence of procedure. Voices are reserved for transmission, not reflection. There is no language for doubt in this phase. Doubt has no channel. The order remains unchanged. As execution continues, the instruction retains its authority. It does not adapt. It does not respond. It exists outside the flow of events it has set in motion, insulated by the structure that delivered it. By the time the final steps are initiated, there is no sense of choice, only momentum, only continuation. The system has committed itself fully to the path defined by the order, and now moves along it with precision and resolve. Everything happens exactly as instructed, and because of that, nothing can be undone. The first indications are not alarms. They do not announce themselves. They appear as minor inconsistencies, small enough to be absorbed by the system without adjustment. A report arrives slightly out of sequence. A confirmation takes longer than expected. None of this violates protocol. None of it warrants intervention. The order remains intact. Its authority does not diminish as conditions begin to diverge. The system has no mechanism to reinterpret instruction once execution is underway. Any deviation must be resolved locally, within the margins already defined. Beyond that, movement continues. Information begins to arrive that does not fit cleanly. It is acknowledged, logged, and forwarded upward, stripped of urgency. By the time it reaches a level capable of contextual understanding, it is already outdated. The system is designed for clarity, not speed of insight. Execution proceeds. The order does not pause to incorporate what is being observed. It was written for a situation that no longer exists, but it does not recognize change. It was never designed to. The structure assumes stability because instability cannot be processed without authorization. Confusion is contained. When responses do not match expectation, they are treated as anomalies. Anomalies are documented, not acted upon. There is no directive to halt, no instruction to reassess. The absence of new orders is interpreted as confirmation that the existing one still applies. The system continues forward. Each layer waits for instruction from above. None arrives. The silence is understood as endorsement. To act independently would introduce uncertainty into a process built to eliminate it. The order's logic begins to unravel. Actions that once aligned now interfere with one another. Timings overlap in ways not anticipated. Resources are consumed according to plan, but the plan no longer corresponds to reality. Still, the metrics indicate progress. Still, confirmations are received. Warnings emerge, but they have no weight. They are phrased cautiously, embedded within standard reports, careful not to imply error in the order itself. The language respects hierarchy. It avoids conclusion. It describes without judging. By the time these warnings are recognized as significant, they are already procedural artifacts. They reflect what has happened, not what is about to. The system treats them as records, not signals. There is no protocol for reversal at this stage. The order persists. It does not adapt to the narrowing options. It does not account for accumulating strain. It continues to demand completion, and the system continues to comply, because compliance is the only remaining instruction. Momentum replaces intention. What began as a decision has become a process. No single individual can alter it without violating structure. The responsibility has dispersed so completely that it can no longer be located. The failure takes shape gradually, not as a single moment, but as a convergence. Each compliant action contributes incrementally. Each correct execution amplifies the flaw embedded at the beginning. The system recognizes difficulty, but not danger. There is no directive that allows recognition to become response. The order is still valid. The chain remains unbroken. Execution continues. By the time the consequences can no longer be ignored, the structure is already committed beyond the point where recognition can produce change. The order moves forward, unchanged, and the system follows it, exactly as designed, carrying itself steadily toward a result it no longer controls. The outcome does not arrive suddenly. It accumulates. The system continues to operate, even as its outputs begin to contradict its purpose. Actions complete as scheduled, but their effects no longer align. Movements intersect where they were meant to separate. Resources are expended without achieving resolution. Still, the order remains in force. Reports multiply. They describe loss without language for cause. Figures replace explanations. Gaps appear in the data, then widen. The system records these absences with the same precision it records success. There is no distinction in method, only in result. The structure strains but does not bend. There is no instruction to stop. No authority steps in to interrupt the process. Each layer waits for correction from above, while the layers above wait for confirmation from below. The loop closes on itself. The collapse is procedural. Elements fail not through refusal, but through overextension. Units arrive where nothing remains to support them. Timelines converge too late. Coordination persists long after coordination has ceased to have meaning. The order continues to demand completion. It does not acknowledge depletion. It does not register absence. It assumes capacity because capacity was assigned. The system, bound to the instruction, attempts to fulfill requirements that no longer correspond to reality. Breakdown spreads quietly. Connections sever. Responses go unanswered. Confirmations cease to arrive, then are replaced by placeholders. The machinery of command continues to request updates, even as the ability to respond erodes. There is no single point of failure. The collapse cannot be isolated because it belongs to the structure as a whole. Each component performs its function correctly. The disaster emerges from their alignment, not their malfunction. Loss becomes evident only in aggregate, not through a single event, but through accumulation. Numbers shift beyond expected ranges. Entire segments fall silent. The system records this as delay, then as absence, then as closure. Still, no countermand arrives. The order remains active until it can no longer be executed. Only then does movement slow, not because of decision, but because capacity has been exhausted. The system reaches the physical limits of what obedience can produce. What remains is not chaos. It is stillness. Not the stillness of peace, but of completion. The process has run its course. The order has been obeyed to the extent possible. The structure has delivered exactly what it was capable of delivering. The collapse does not announce itself. It is recognized only after the fact, when continuation is no longer possible, when there is nothing left to allocate, nothing left to move, nothing left to confirm. The system stands amid the result of its own efficiency. Everything that was instructed has been done. Everything that followed was unavoidable. The order is no longer moving. It has finished. Afterward, the system remains. It does not retreat. It does not reorganize. It absorbs. The order is removed from circulation. Its reference number is closed. Its documents are archived according to regulation. They are filed among thousands of others, identical in format, distinguished only by date and classification. There is no ceremony in this. Closure is administrative. Operations continue elsewhere. Schedules are adjusted. Resources are reassigned. New instructions move through the same channels, bearing the same authority. written in the same language. The structure shows no visible sign of rupture. It was designed to persist beyond individual outcomes. Records are compiled. They describe events in neutral terms. Loss is quantified. Gaps are noted. Irregularities are categorized. Each entry conforms to established templates. The language avoids causation. It focuses on sequence, not decision. No single point is identified. Responsibility remains distributed, as it was during execution. Each layer confirms that it acted within instruction. Each confirmation is accurate. The system accepts them without conflict. Discussion is limited. Where it occurs, it is procedural. It concerns timing, coordination, documentation. The order itself is not examined. It is treated as context, not cause. Its legitimacy is assumed because legitimacy was never in question. Silence follows naturally, not enforced, but produced by structure. There is no directive to revisit the decision. There is no mechanism to do so. The absence of instruction is interpreted as closure. Those who remain continue their roles. They return to routine. They receive new orders. They execute them with the same precision. The system rewards this continuity. Stability is restored not by understanding, but by repetition. The failure becomes an entry. It exists in reports and summaries detached from experience. Over time, it is referenced less frequently. New data replaces it. New operations require attention. The system's memory is functional, not reflective. Nothing within the structure changes. The procedures remain intact. The channels remain open. The hierarchy remains unquestioned. The conditions that allowed the order to pass every check remain in place. Elsewhere, another order is being prepared. It will be formatted correctly. It will be verified. It will move downward through the same layers, carried by the same assumptions, trusted for the same reasons. The system does not mark the difference. It does not need to. Its purpose is not to prevent failure, but to ensure obedience. In that purpose, it remains successful. The space left by the collapse is filled, not with answers, but with continuity. The machinery resumes its rhythm. Authority flows, instructions are followed. The order is no longer spoken, but the structure that delivered it remains, unchanged, ready to carry the next one exactly as it carried the last.